funny guy, and this is his podcast, In the Rye. It's the In the Rye Podcast. Curt Fletcher.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. It's episode 47 In the Rye Podcast with Curt Fletcher. I'm Curt Fletcher. Got an awesome guest today. Before we get to the guest, I got a few shows to promote. Got some local shows. November 3rd, I'll be at Revel doing a set and also judging the roast battle. November 5th, I'll be at Tractor Brewery. November 9th, I'll be at Brew Lab 101 in Rio Rancho. November 11th, I'll be at Cosmos. So those are all local shows, and every Monday, my friend Holly Bird and I run the open mic at Inside Out. I've also got, in December, I'll be at Hyenas in Dallas, December 9th through the 11th, and Jukebox Comedy Club in Peoria, Illinois, December 17th through 18th. All the info is on my website. If you go there, funnyfletcher.com, I've got all my shows listed on there with more details. You can also sign up for my newsletter on there. You can also sign up for the Patreon for In the Rye Podcast. I always post the podcast on there before I post it anywhere else with no ads. It's pretty sweet. Yeah. I've had some fun shows lately, and some not so fun shows. Well, one. I was in Tucson this past weekend, had a lot of fun out there. We did 3 shows, and they're all a lot of fun, especially Friday night. Friday night was one of the best shows I've had all year. There's another show I did earlier in October at an American Legion, and it was not a great setup for comedy at all. And I thought about leaving. It's just so bad. They weren't set up for it at all. They had they had a cordless microphone, and the guy just hands it to the opening act and is like, "Here you go. Start telling jokes in front of these people who aren't paying attention and have no clue their comedy show is about to happen." But he did okay. He was up there for about 10 to 15 minutes and did okay. But then there's some newbies on the show that, they're not used to a crowd like that, so it didn't go as well. And then I had to go up, and at this point the crowd is not paying attention and talking very loud. And I love doing American Legion shows. I've done plenty of them over my career, and they're always great crowds, when they know there's a comedy show going on. So, I told myself, I was like, I'm not bombing in front of these people. So I just went up there and, kind of screamed my first joke into the microphone and, talked loud enough where they couldn't talk to each other. And I knew if I could make them laugh right away that I could get them paying attention. So that's what I did. And it was also one of those crowds where if you lose their attention at all, they're going to go back to talking. So I pretty much did like a 40-minute set in 25 minutes, just like plowed right through it. So I ended up being a pretty fun night. And so it wasn't terrible like I thought it was going to be. Yeah, that's about it for shows right now. Let's go talk to Rusty Rutherford. He's my guest today. I've known Rusty for probably at least 15 years. He's been in the scene for years. He does everything, comedy, acting, improv, is a photographer, like just all kinds of stuff. Does a lot of stuff for the community. Really nice guy. So let's go talk to Rusty.
Don't have shot callers for them.
Not yet.
Okay,
Rusty Rutherford. Hell yeah, buddy.
Yeah. How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing good. How are you? What's life been like for you lately?
Good. It's been cool. It's been busy, but like mostly good busy.
That's great.
Yeah. All this post-COVID stuff, I've decided like I'm one of the people that are like, I don't want to work a normal job anymore.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing like all sorts of contract work and, photo gigs and performance gigs. And
Yeah, I love your
Sure.
photos, man. You've been doing some great photos. That's awesome.
thanks. Yeah, it's been cool. I had time during the whole lockdown to like, really play with that more and
Uh-huh.
learn my camera more and do a lot more editing stuff. So
Very
it's been
cool.
super fun.
Yeah, so since I've known you, you've done stand-up, improv, sketch comedy, dinner theater, you've done a TED talk. God, you just do pretty much everything there is, really. You rap.
Hell yeah,
do
dude.
do you have a favorite out of all those?
I don't know that I have a favorite. So I get very bored if I just stick with one thing.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of people that are like, I'm a stand-up comic. I focus on stand-up, I get really good at stand-up. And if I do stand-up for too long, I'm like, okay, I'm bored with stand-up. I want to do some improv. Or I'm bored with, improv. I want to do some film. And so I like, as long as I'm doing something creative and hopefully something funny,
Mhm.
I really like mixing it up. And then
That's
I like
cool,
taking, kind of hybrids. I love doing stand-up, but being able to pull that like improv into it or rapping into the stand-up or mixing them all up.
That's
Keeps
cool.
things interesting for me.
Yeah. So when you started, I remember before I met you, you had a one-man show. Is that how you got started, like with all that?
Yeah, pretty much. My initial performance was a little before that. In high school, I had a public access TV show called Don't Watch This.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And I was just like, I was super inspired by Tom Green. He was my role model, and he started from public access. So I started to show, like, me and my buddy Zach would sit around and watch public access, and just we watched a show called Country Oldies, and it was this this couple. They were like a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And they had just like tables full of CDs in front of them.
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
You remember? It was a call-in show. So you could call in and request a country song or an oldie song. And they were just like, you would see them just digging through the CDs trying to find like Garth Brooks or whatever.
Yeah.
And like 75% of the calls they got were prank calls.
Yeah.
Like half of those were from me and Zach. Like we would just keep calling, and the man would answer, and he'd be like really sweet and like calm with us, and then the lady would grab the phone from him and just yell at us in the phone, and then yell at him and slam it. But that was all like silent in the background while like Brown Eyed Girl was playing. So I started we watched that, and we're like, man, if these guys can get a show, anybody can.
Yeah.
All public access. And they're like, oh yeah, anybody can. You have to pay $35 and take 4 classes, and then you can have a show. And so we did it. And my first big live thing is we were trying to get kicked out of the talent show auditions in high school. So I came up with this whole rubber mallet routine, which was just supposed to be this really dumb routine. And we had a minute to audition. And my plan was to just keep going, like run the light, keep going past my time, have them like drag me off stage. And I did this whole thing. It's like, when I say rubber, you say mallet, rubber. And they had ended up, it was at lunch. And so it ran late, lunch had ended. And so the drama class came in. And so all of a sudden, like now, instead of just the 3 judges, we have this whole class of like other teenagers, and they got really into it, and they were doing the call and return, and we got picked to do the actual talent show. And I was like, man, people are going to hate this, but it's going to be so funny. Like, that's the point. I want to film us doing this dumb thing and people hating it. And then it kind of backfired, and people got really into it, and it was just something weird. And that's when I was like hooked on performing. And like, man, I got to do this forever.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. Yeah, I remember. I don't remember the venue, but yeah, I remember you doing your one-man show, and yeah, that's super cool, man. Yeah, I don't remember what year we met, but it was I want to say like 2005-ish, maybe. Were you doing stand-up then?
Yeah, I was. So I graduated high school in 2003, and I did my one-man show right after high school,
Okay.
How to Pick Up Chicks.
Yeah.
And that was, a theater show. It was at a theater. A lot of theater people would probably frown upon me calling it theater, but Yeah, and like I had started some stand up in high school, just open mics down at Chelsea's Street Pub.
Oh yeah.
Man, those like Monday open mics where it was like three families trying to eat a mountain of nachos.
Yeah.
I had no
Oh,
idea
those are
stand up was going
brutal,
on.
man.
They were so rough. And my first set, I actually have it online somewhere. That's buried in one of my episodes of the TV show.
Uh-huh.
But my first like actual attempt at doing stand up, just because I'm like, I need to do stand up. That's the next logical thing. It was so bad. It was me like trying to do what I thought stand up was supposed to be. And
Uh-huh.
eventually I started doing more of those open mics, and it was just so hard to get the crowd's attention that I would be like, all right, every time I lose your attention, I'm going to take off a layer of clothing. And I remember like I did a show, it was Christmas time, so the place was packed. I was like, wow, we actually have an audience, but nobody was there to see the stand up.
Uh-huh.
And I just started like taking off layers of clothing, and I would get down to like my underwear, and then I'd go to take off my underwear and be like, oh, I'm out of time. And I remember the host of the show told me, he was like, they talked about you on the radio. They were talking about our show and they mentioned you. And he was like, you can't do that anymore. You can't take off your clothes. And I was like, I'm the only one they were talking about. I was so mad. He was telling me I couldn't. But also I was like a 17-year-old boy, like getting naked in a restaurant.
Yeah. That's so funny. One of my friends used to work at Chelsea Street when we were doing open mics, and I remember none of the comedians knew that I was friends with him. So I had him and one of his other friends, like, I asked them if they would stand right in front of me when I was on stage, like to be dicks and like watch the TV. And just because nobody knew they were my friends, So I started my set, and like one of them just like walks over and like stands right in front of me watching the TV. And then the other one walks over, and they're like, oh, sweet, slam ball's on.
That's great.
So funny. So like, I can't remember who was hosting the show, but he comes over, he's like, man, I'm so sorry about those dudes just walking up like that, like watching TV. And I was like, yeah, that was kind of rude.
That was like the perfect place to do that kind of stuff, because like you can't have a real set there and do well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember having a good set there at all. It was just one of those things where there weren't many open mics back then, so you just took whatever stage time you could get.
Yeah. And I wasn't 21, so I couldn't do the laugh things yet, or
Yeah,
any of the bars that did have mics.
you could have done
Chelsea's
laughs. Laughs would have let you in as a performer if you're underage. Yeah, because Mark started when he was 16.
That's
he
right.
He just had to have his mom with him every time.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I could turn back time.
But yeah, we did do an open mic at a bar. There's the one right down the street from Laughs. It's called like Billy's or something like that. You remember that place?
Billy's Long Bar.
I don't know if you ever did sets there. I don't know if you're old enough at that time when that was going.
I think I've done Billy's at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that was the first time like ever seeing like Goldie Garcia and some other comics. I think Mike Boyle ran it with one of his friends.
Yeah,
it was a long time ago.
They were both like super young at the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They were like 65 or 66 or so.
Yeah. Yeah, Goldie's act hasn't changed much since then.
I love Goldie. Like I love.
Oh yeah.
Time where she would just get online, and you could tell she was just at home drinking wine, and she would
for
just
sure
posting like the Facebook pages about how bad all the new comics were. It was just always something like bitter.
Yeah.
And so I went through this long phase where I would just create memes of Goldie.
I remember that.
So fun.
What was that one with the cat, like the sofa cats or something like that? Do you remember that?
With the cat?
It had something to do with the cat.
I did one. I did a Dr. Seuss one where maybe this is it was I'm getting my Goldie memes mixed up. But once she posted, somebody said something about Stephen Michael Casada.
Oh yeah, and she said
commented,
she hats him.
Yeah, she said I hat Stephen Michael Casada, and so I made a meme with Goldie wearing a big top hat, but the top hat was Stephen Michael Casada's face.
I remember that. That's so funny. Yeah, I wish I could remember the cat one. It had something to do with one of her shows, and like, but she was drunk one night on Facebook and like spelled something wrong, like way off, and he made fun of it.
Oh man, good old Goldie.
Yeah,
I got to do her roast. She did a roast battle, or like a roast for her birthday one year.
Oh really?
And it was at like some event center behind Dollar Tree. Just like this big ballroom. And it was so much fun. I did like a PowerPoint, and I did like all these visuals with like a Barbie with sandpaper skin. I don't know, all this weird stuff, but I really wanted to convert it into a video and post it. And then I was just like, no, I got enough out of Goldie. Like,
yeah. Yeah, she's fun.
She is.
Yeah, I wish she wasn't at my 20-year anniversary show, but other than that, yeah.
Oh yeah, she heckled that too, huh?
Oh, nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna share some of that video with some of my friends that weren't able to make it, and I was like, the video is just not good enough because Goldie's in it.
Goldie Garcia featuring Curt Fletcher.
Yeah. How was your show at the Funny Fiesta? How did that go?
Oh man, it went really well. It was a lot of fun.
Can you kind of tell me like how it went, like what the format was? I remember you telling me that night, but I forgot.
Yeah, so it's kind of a hybrid stand-up improv type show. I wanted to take something where I worked with a live musician, because I've done a couple shows where I've had like a violinist or a celloist on stage, and I've been able to just kind of like tell one-liners or super dry jokes like over a cello. And so I kind of I have my buddy Rob Janoff, who's an awesome electric violinist. He plays, but then he also loops, so he does like these loop songs and tracks. And we started the show with him just playing some like somber violin music and me doing some one-liners, and then went into crowd work. And I picked a couple in the crowd and just talked to them, asked how they met, when they started dating, what their first date was. And then I did a one-person improv scene where I played all the characters, and Rob scored it. So he created like all the background music for the scene, and it was super fun. And then we ended it with the freestyle rap where he created a beat on it, and I had everyone in the audience hold up things, got to go around and rap about whatever they held up at me. But I didn't know how it was going to go because we hadn't got to rehearse it in front of a live audience.
Oh, wow.
We've done like variations of it. We worked together a little bit before, but this format, like, we didn't get to practice with an audience, which I really wanted to. And we just practiced alone a few times. So I'm like, we'll see how it goes, but ended up being a great crowd, super fun. And I'm hoping to turn that into something bigger, maybe turn that into a full show.
Oh, that'd be great, man.
Yeah.
How long was the show?
Our segment was 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
We did a 20-minute, then we performed with Phil and West, another hilarious
nice.
two-person improv troupe performed after us.
I love those guys.
Yeah, they're great.
That's so cool. Yeah, I tried improv a couple times, and like I was so bad at it because I'm so used to stand up, like going for the punchline right away. So
right,
I would just ruin the scene, like just going for the punchline.
Yeah, that's what happens to me, man. Now that I'm so used, like I do a lot of improv in my stand-up, but it's so different because you're improvising with an audience member and you're making those punchlines. And so I get in that same format with improv where they just tell you over and over, like, don't go for the joke, kill the scene, just build characters, build relationships. And I auditioned for a show shortly before COVID. And this like team I really wanted to be on, and like had a fun audition. I got a bunch of laughs, but I knew I was like, I'm not going to get it because there were two spots where I like went for the joke. I made the punchline.
It's so hard not to, man, especially when you got something like really good. You're like, all right, I'm not letting this go to waste.
Yeah. and you like pride yourself on being quick like that on stage as a
Yeah.
stand-up. Like
Uh-huh.
wordplay, you know, if you're talking to a crowd member and they say, I took a minute and paused, and you say you're on menopause, the crowd loses it
Yeah.
because you like thought of that really quick. And then you do that during an improv scene and they're like, nope.
Yeah.
Derailed it.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I did a couple classes and just was not good. It was fun. I wish I had like you know, done improv or tried it like what before I done stand up or right around when I was starting stand up or something. So it would have been a little easier to, you know, build the characters and stuff like that. But
See, I started more with improv and sketch comedy
Did you?
before I
Okay.
did stand up, and I was on an improv team in high school. In high school, I kind of stumbled my way on into theater because of the public access show and the talent show.
Uh-huh.
People were like, "You should do my audition for my one act comedy play," and I ended up auditioning for the improv team, and I was the only person who was like brand new at theater, and I got on the improv team, and it was ran by Luann Graham, who was Ethel Mertz's sister.
Oh yeah.
Ethel Mertz from I Love Lucy, but she was like this like pretty grumpy old lady teaching improv, but she had us do like scenes which weren't improv. You opened with this, and she just like censored the hell out of us, which we were high school kids. It happened a
Yeah.
lot. But she was like, it became this whole thing where like none of us could stand our improv instructor because it was this like improv, her mindset from like 50 years ago, trying to do improv now.
Uh-huh.
But I got to work with like a lot of super fun people, and I would love to do. I've gone through all of the boxes improv classes, and
Oh, cool.
that's something like I want to do more. If I can clear time, like I definitely want to
Uh-huh.
get back into the improv world.
Cool. Have you done any like acting classes?
Yeah. My at UNM, my initial major was I was a theater major, and I went back and forth between acting and dramatic writing.
Okay.
It was the dramatic writing program, but everything I wrote was comedy. And then yeah, I have a film agent. I'm a professional like auditioner now.
Yeah.
I get like a lot of auditions, and the only thing I booked is this one like indie movie that my agent got me an audition for. It was called Voice from an Unmarked Grave, and it was shot out in Alamogordo and Tularosa. And it was like a 4-day shoot. This was probably 3 years ago now. It was a 4-day shoot, or I was called for 4 days. And like I got my day rate that they were paying me that I thought was my day rate. I'm like, cool, I'm getting like, it was like $300 a day or something. I'm like, this is awesome. This is like my first acting gig. And I went out. It was a new director. It was a very low budget film. It was such a mess. It was a blast. Like all the cast, we all had so much fun together, but it was like such a mess. And the last day they cut me my check, and turns out what I thought was my day rate was my rate for the entire time. And so I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I thought I was getting this per day. They're like, no. But since then I've gotten like quite a few auditions. You know, I get called for Better Call Saul a lot. I had one callback. I was called for like sketchy drug dealer or sketchy dude in the alley buying drugs, or like creepy truck driver. It was what I had. But they're fun, man. I had one the other day, this casting director. I had actually just been telling my girlfriend, like, I had an audition for this casting director 2 years ago. It was a really fun role. It was for Roswell, a TV show, and it was a person that had been like kind of like possessed by an alien. So for the audition, I was going back and forth from like a human and alien, and it was just a really cool, fun audition. But I was just telling my girlfriend, I was like, she never called me back for anything else. Like she must not have liked me. And literally like 2 days later, I get an audition from the same casting director for a local commercial playing an alien. And I'm like, this lady just thinks I look like me. But like the description of this audition, usually they'll send us, sides. We memorize a few lines from the script. And in the before time, you almost always go in and audition in front of the live. Right now, it's all like self-taped auditions where you tape it and send it. And this one was like, uh, you're auditioning as an alien, come up with some scene that a human wouldn't be in. If you have any special skills, like if you're a contortionist or anything, put that in. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I have no idea what they actually want. And so I did this like whole scene. I had like a couple glasses of wine before my audition. I was like, all right, I know what I'm going to do. And I can stand on my head for like prolonged periods of time. So I did this scene like starting off standing on my head, and then I went down and like came up like towards the camera all alien like and grabbed these like dried apple slices and ate them all weird. And I'm like, this casting director's either I'm gonna nail this role because it's so weird they're gonna bring me in, or she's like never gonna call me back.
Yeah.
There's gonna be no middle ground with this one.
That's so funny. Are you waiting for the call back then?
Yeah, been waiting. Was that 7.5 months? But I think I still have a chance. No, it was a few days ago, but we'll see. I
That's
haven't.
cool,
I've
man.
been with my agents a few years now, and I'm like really happy she hasn't given up on me because I don't get anything.
Yeah.
Like I keep, and I hear from a lot of people like, yeah, you just keep auditioning. If a casting director keeps bringing you back, they like you, they want to get you something. And I do. I have a couple that bring me in regularly. But now I get these and I'm like, all right, shoot another one, and someday I'll get a role.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you will. I had a blast working on that 48-hour film with you.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
Yeah. Have you done any of those since then?
No, I haven't. I would like to.
Yeah.
Jared Ostrom and that crew,
Uh-huh.
comedians, just they won a bunch of awards for their 48-hour film.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it, but from the sounds of it, like, they kept it really simplistic, which you have to do for those. Like ours, remember we had like 20 locations and like,
Yeah.
but yeah, they won like some writing awards and some acting awards, and
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
definitely like to do some more of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a blast, man. It was didn't get much sleep that weekend, but
Yeah. Well, remember, I had just came in. I was doing a show. Actually, I think I was doing a show at Holloman Air Force Base that night before. And then I drove in and like met you guys the next morning. So I had gone from like a show, and then I just went straight to you guys and started filming. And yeah, that was fun. I remember you reading what was it? The horse.
Oh yeah.
The horse. It was like the end credits or the opening credits, and you were just doing an audiobook version of this horse book or something.
I think that part was I was reading off of some guy's blog.
Was that it?
Yeah, he was talking about how to like walk up behind horses and stuff like that.
Yeah. Approach from the side.
Approach from the side.
Right? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, that was fun. That's yeah. Yeah, one of those.
It was the first time I got kissed by Nicki Manjin.
Oh yeah.
There's a photo of ours when we returned the video.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. It was so funny because remember when we got the video in, the deadline was like 7:30, and I was standing in line, and you threw the flash drive to me from your car.
Yeah. I literally drove up next to you because they're like, it can't be a minute late. I drove up next to you and tossed you the flash drive. You dropped it.
Yeah.
Because I remember being like, oh, the flash drive.
I thought it was broken. I was like, oh my God.
And then we still got like second to last place.
Yeah. We pulled a good prank on the lady who ran it though. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh man. Oof.
Yeah, that was a good time. That'd probably get us canceled now.
I know. Man. That was nuts.
Yeah, we should definitely do one of those again, man. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even just some sketch stuff. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I've always
I'd be
wanted to
down.
do a bunch more sketch stuff, and yeah, I've got tons of sketches that I've written and stuff, but I just, got to have people to film them.
Yeah. I'd be down. I just bought a new super fancy camera
Oh
that I
yeah,
hired to do photos for a wedding. And I was like, I need to
nice.
upgrade my equipment. So I got this super nice camera. I haven't even shot video with it yet. It's supposed to be good for video too,
Cool. That's great.
to play around.
Hell yeah. So what do you got coming up? Like what type of things you got coming up?
So right now I'm still doing First Fridays.
Okay. Yeah.
Got you books coming up.
Yeah.
It's probably already aired by then. So Curt, you just took first place at First Fridays comedy contest.
I'm gonna put this out tomorrow. So
Oh, sweet. Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, every first Friday of the month at Tractor Brewery, I've been running that show for my first one was about 13 years ago.
Holy shit.
At a little hookah lounge. Yeah,
Was that Tureen hookah? Or is it a
no,
different
this
one?
was before Tureen. It was Hunab
Okay.
Hookah Lounge.
Okay.
It was that Smith's on Carlisle. It was like diagonal from there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It was a super hippie dude. And actually when we got the show, I had the idea I'm gonna book 10 comedians. Everyone's gonna do 5 minutes. The audience votes on the winners. We'll give the first 2 cash. And at the time that we didn't have a lot of people doing stand-up in Albuquerque. And I was trying to like combine our stand-up scene with all my actor friends because I had a lot of funny acting friends. So I brought a bunch of them in. And the night before the show, the owner of Tureen, this super hippie guy, calls me and he's like, all right, so they get a cash prize. He's like, what are they paying to enter? And I'm like, well, no, it's from the door because we're charging like $5 a ticket. And he's like, what? So they could win cash and they're not paying anything to enter? I don't know about this. I don't think this is going to work. I just don't like this idea, but we'll try it. And so we did it. We had a great show. We took the door. He made money on sales. And he was like, okay, you were right. That was a good idea. And so since then we've been to Tureen Hookah Lounge. We've done a couple at the Box, and then we've been at Tractor in Wells Park for the past 4 or 5 years now.
Nice.
So yeah, I do that every Saturday. I do the Dinner Detective.
Okay.
Dinner theater.
Yeah. Well,
Murder
how long have you been
mystery.
doing that? Seems like you've been doing that for a while.
Yeah, I've been there about 5 years, 5-6 years.
Okay.
We do those shows at the Marriott
So
uptown.
what is that like? Is that like a improv show, or is that scripted?
It's scripted, but there's a lot of room for improv in it.
Okay.
So it's a loose script. We have plants in the audience, which is really fun.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
We stand up different audience members and you don't know which ones are actors and which ones are legit audience members. And we ask them questions and then we'll like make them do weird stuff. Everybody that comes to the show comes up with a fake name. So everyone has a name tag with whatever silly name they come up with. And, so we get to mess with people a lot in there. And then there's 2 detectives. I'm a detective and usually one other person, and we kind of run the show, and we're trying to solve this big outrageous murder that happens at the beginning. And so we stand up people and we make them do weird things. And so it's fun. It's kind of my type of improv because it is that improvising with the audience more than with other improvisers.
Yeah.
And you get food and there's a bar there and they're fun. We usually get pretty good crowds.
That's cool, man. That's very cool. Sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And that was totally on a whim. I auditioned for that one. I like almost didn't go the day of the audition. I was like, I don't know. I haven't auditioned for a while for anything. And I don't have a headshot. Then at the last minute, I was like, I'll just do it. So I ran to Walgreens, printed out a headshot at Walgreens, and the audition was so fun. We just played improv games at the audition, and it was like one of the most fun auditions I ever did.
That's cool.
And luckily I got cast as like the lead role right away, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your TED Talk a little bit?
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. Definitely one of my.
You've done
favorite
one, right?
performing. I've actually done a couple. I've done one really big one.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I did another smaller one. They do these TEDx salons, which are like kind of spin-off events. And I did one there that was like a little more of a comedy routine. I guess they were both funny, but my initial one was called Laughing with Gangstas, or how to laugh like a gangsta. And I had applied the year before, I think for the same talk or something similar, didn't get it. And then I applied again. I got an email that I didn't get in, but then a couple of days later, I got a phone call and they're like, hey, we actually like have a spot for you if you want it. And my proposal was to do this talk about, you know, working with gang involved youth, because I did gang intervention for several years and did performing arts and theater and music stuff with them. And so they brought me in, and they do like, you have like 8 weeks of coaching leading up to it, where you can go and, you know, they help you with your talks. A lot of people that do the TED Talks like aren't public speakers. Wow. A lot of them are like, I run a tech company and I found this weird. So they like work with you to develop your talk and everything. You know, I had 7 minutes and they narrowed it down. And the day of, I think we had probably like, it was probably like 14 speakers or something that day. And they told me, they're like, you're going first. You okay? Like, we think you're good to go first. And everyone else was like, thank God I'm not going first. And I was like, yes, like, get this out of the way. Plus everyone's energy is high. And so it was at Popejoy, and, you know, huge place. I think it was sold out. It was like 1,800 seats or something. Like,
oh, wow.
Probably the biggest crowd I've ever performed for. And yeah, just to be able to do something that had a whole lot of humor in it, had a whole lot of jokes and stuff in it, but also like a very serious topic, and about these kids that would come through, and just the masks that they feel like they have to wear to like impress other kids and their peers, and they're never really themselves, and being able to use humor and comedy to like get them to open up and break down those walls and take that mask off and just, you know, be kids and laugh. And it was cool. Actually, it's funny because I was listening to your episode earlier with Matt Peterson. You guys were talking about Ron Bell, and Ron Bell, one of his people, came up to me after the show and was like, yeah, I work for a local attorney, and like, he really liked your stuff. He wants to try to bring you and some of your kids to do some commercials for us. His name's Ron Bell. And I was like, hell yeah, Ron Bell's my fan. Never turned into anything, but but yeah, that was a great experience, man. It was so cool. It led to some other cool things. I got some cool talks. I got to do some motivational talks after that.
Oh, cool.
And then I've also gotten booked for some stand-up gigs from that.
Oh, really?
Where and it's funny. I got booked for one in Cortez, Colorado. And it was this like super sweet little theater. They put me on their radio show like the morning before, and she emailed me. I didn't even know how she found me or anything, but she's like, I want to bring you out to headline. And like, they paid me pretty well and gave me a room. And I got out there, and I went to they had like a band playing the night before. So she's like, yeah, come to the show. You know, you can sit in. And she announced me on stage. She's like, tomorrow we got a comedian coming in. He did a really good TED Talk. So if you like the TED Talks, you're going to love this guy. And I'm like, oh no, like, they're expecting my stand-up comedy to be like my TED Talk. And it's not. It's so different. So sometimes I get those and I have to be like, just so you know, it's a very different thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember watching your TED Talk. Yeah, that was great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely one of the top experiences of my performing life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you walk back in the green room and you're like, follow that, bitches.
It did. Actually, it's funny because I met a girl that night who was dancing for the TED Talks. She was one of the like not intermission, but they had like performances too.
Oh, okay.
So she had this like incredible dance. And I was like, this girl is pretty cute. And I went out that night. A few of us went to Anodyne, and I ran into her. And she was like, I really liked your talk. My mom really liked you. Are you single? And we started dating. And it like progressed super fast. Like, we were in a relationship like a week later. And like, I met her mom.
Kids
like
3 days later.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't look like me. He was black, but it was just genetic mix up. Yeah, it went super fast. And then like all of a sudden she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So it ended just as fast. I think we dated like a month. But
Oh,
at
yeah.
the time I was like, this is the one. But I think I met her and we were both at this high. Like you ever
Yeah.
have those performances where you just like have this amazing show and you're high from it.
Yeah.
It's like you're on cocaine. Also, I was on a lot of cocaine. And but no, we met and I think we were just both in this like high spot, all this adrenaline going and everything built from there. And then we're like, she's like, oh, I don't actually like you. But I really like you.
Yeah. Well, that sucks.
That's cool. She's married now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's still stalking her.
Yeah. I'm checking up to see if they're divorced. Just kidding. I got a girlfriend now that's way better.
Cool. Good.
So Christina, if you're listening, sorry.
She's not. I actually don't release these episodes at all.
They're just for you.
Just for me, yeah.
To catch up.
See, I have friends, and then I just pull a clip. This is me and my friend
Man,
talking.
You know what else I was thinking about that I still think we should finish? Another project we started like 6 years ago. Well, we did judgmental maps together.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to post that up here so people can see it.
Yeah.
Holy shit,
Yeah,
people
man.
got mad at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you hitting me up and you're like, hey, so my buddy does these maps that are just all the like shittiest parts of the city. So we got together and made the judgmental map. We got on the news for it. Remember
was
that?
so
It was
funny.
like a year and a half later they found it and then they did a news story on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember not using my real name because I wasn't sure if people get pissed off and
Yeah.
want to send me hate mail and shit. So yeah, I used my fake agent's name, Conrad,
Right.
Conrad Nicodemus.
Yes. But then that led to, remember we started working on the birthday bingo? Or not
Oh,
bingo,
the Monopoly game.
Birthday-opoly.
Yeah,
Yeah. I still think we should finish that.
I think so too, man.
We were gonna do this whole game. I forget that we're not just hanging out, that people are like, what are you talking about? We were gonna do this whole game where it was just a Monopoly game, like the Albuquerque Monopoly, which already exists, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
we were
but
gonna
not-
do just all the like,
Yeah,
yeah, the ghetto parts of Albuquerque and like
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember any of our ideas for that, but yeah, I do remember it. It's super funny. But yeah, when
Yeah.
you showed me that there was already one, I was like, ah, man.
But the one
ours-
there is, I think, is just like the city stuff.
Yeah. We could do like a more offensive one for sure.
Yeah. It was like, you get huevos rancheros in Old Town and they're super bland. Move back 4 spaces.
Yeah.
Where ours is like, you get stabbed in Old Town.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're having a quinceanera.
Cops raid your quinceanera because
Yeah.
the 14-year-old quinceanera. 14-year-old quince.
16. Isn't it 16?
16. Cinco, seis. No, that's Sextinera. Quincean.
I
And
always
we're
thought
the
it was
whitest.
16
We are
for
the
some reason.
whitest New Mexicans. Maybe
Yeah.
it is. Hey Siri, how old do you have to be for a quinceanera?
Okay, I found this on the web. For how old do you have to be for a
15.
quinceanera?
It's
Check it out.
15.
Oh, okay.
So we're both wrong.
Oh yeah, quince. Duh.
Yeah, quinceanera. Your 15-year-old daughter gets raided by the police at her quinceanera for
Yeah.
slanging fentanyl.
And her 3 kids have to
Refuge.
go on into foster homes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Spend $48 to hire Ron Bell.
And then we could come up with some good chance cards and community chess cards.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah,
to
I
get,
remember
you have
we
to
were
get 3
changing.
raindrop tattoos. Lose $40.
We were changing everyone's name to like, it would be like, you have to hire Bond Rail and stuff. We're just
Yeah.
switching the first so we don't get sued by anyone.
Oh yeah, we should definitely do that, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, now I know at the time, like I got logistically, I was like, I don't know how we're gonna get the pieces and we're gonna get the boards. But now I know there's like maker spaces.
Yeah.
I toured one a couple months ago where you can
Okay.
like you can take a class and use their 3D printers, or you can just pay someone to use their 3D printer and like make you little pieces. It'd be fun.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we should
You could
definitely do
have
that.
a lowrider car for one of the mobile pieces, a syringe.
Gotta have some blue meth in there.
Blue meth. Yeah.
Heisenberg's hat.
Yeah, man.
Al Hurricane's eye patch.
I used to have a joke. I used to get Al Hurricane Jr. and Hurricane Katrina mixed up. Like one destroyed a bunch of lives and one makes you wish your life was destroyed while you sit at their concert or something.
Oh, that's great. Is he still alive, Al Hurricane?
I don't think so.
No.
I think Katrina got him.
Yeah.
I think they both died.
Oh,
Him and
really?
Junior. Maybe
That
not.
sucks.
Let's see. Oh no, Al Hurricane Jr. is still alive. He's 62.
Nice. We should see if he wants to do a song with us. Rock you like Al Hurricane.
Get him on board.
Yeah.
We have connections.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, let's get together and do that, man. That would be so cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm down.
I think we could sell that for sure. I
Yeah,
bet people would buy that. And we could put our judgmental map in the middle of the board.
right. Bonus.
Yeah.
That's so cool that he published a whole book of those judgmental maps.
Oh,
too.
yeah. It's all over the place, too. Like, I've
Yeah.
seen them at airports and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he got on like the Amazon top 10 books because
Yeah.
he listed it under like atlases or something.
Yeah.
So it was like top 10 rated atlases.
Yeah. Out of 7.
Yeah. I remember I
There
wanted
can't be
to
that
do a
many
thing.
atlases.
Right. I wanted to do a thing, a promotional thing for him where I like staged a book burning.
Hmm.
And I wanted to get like a whole group together that was just super offended about these judgmental maps and like organized a book burning. And then like try to get news coverage on it and like try to get other people to show up. And when they show up, like have them buy a book to burn and be like, well, yeah, you got to buy the book, but like, we're going to burn it. It's $16.
Oh, that'd be funny. That's like Ron Perea when he was gonna hire me to turn one of his books into a screenplay. And
Yeah.
he was gonna try and charge me for the book, and it's like, what are you doing?
Are you serious? Oh man.
Yeah.
I've heard stories from like both Doug Stanhope and Mark Maron about doing like one of Ron Perea's gigs back in the day,
Oh yeah.
and Perea like paying them in a toaster and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like, I can't afford to pay you, but I got this brand new toaster. I can't get you this gig, but I can get you another headlining gig. What?
Yeah. Yeah. The first time I ever did a show with him was May 2003. And like he had an open mic at this little Chinese restaurant, New Chinatown. And
Yeah.
so I remember doing the open mic a couple times, and then he asked me to do a set. He was bringing in a comedian from Boston. So so I was gonna do a 5-minute set with her, and Eddie Tafoya was on the show, and Ron was the host. And I brought half the crowd, and I only brought 4 people. And so it was because I was still new. Like I'd only done maybe 20 shows at that point, maybe 25 or something. And so he's like, I didn't know who he was, you know what I mean? So I didn't know to stay away from him. And so he told me to dress nice and all this stuff, you know. So I showed up and I dressed nice and I felt fucking stupid, you know what I mean? And I did my 5 minutes and did well, whatever. But I just remember talking to the headliner after the show. I was like, you know, I've never done a paid gig before. Like how do you get paid for this? And she was like, he offered me a DVD player. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah. I was like, is that a normal thing? And she's like, no. And I was like, okay. And she's like, yeah, try to stay away from this dude. And I was like, okay. And then I remember I was at Laughs a couple nights later doing a guest spot, and Russ mentioned something about me doing a show for Ron Perea. And because I was doing the guest spot at Laughs, and he said something like, I know it's not a Ron Perea gig, but this is still pretty sweet, right? Or something like that. And and he was walking back to his office, so I followed him back there, and I was like, man, fuck that guy. You know, I was like, do you know that guy? Like, I didn't know there was like a feud between producers and shit like that back in the day, you know? So I was like, and I didn't know if Russ liked him or anything. And I was like, man, fuck that guy and blah, blah, blah. And I told Russ what happened, like after the show, like Ron, like he like put his arm around me and he's all gross and sweaty. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to take you under my wing. I'm going to make you a star. And I go, nah, I'm good. And I just walked out. And so I told Russ that story, and he looked pretty happy about that. And then right after that, he booked me my first hosting gig at Laughs, like right after that. So, and I was because I was in his office, and he like had the calendar open. He's like, hey, you want to do this week? And I was like, sweet. So
see, you never would have got that gig if it wasn't for Ron Perea.
Possibly.
Do you remember? Have you seen there's a video of it? Have you seen the video of Ron Perea swinging at Stephen Haha?
Oh my God, yeah.
On stage. Oh man.
Holy shit. That is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. It's like, have you ever thrown a punch before?
Yeah. Threw out his hip, tried to punch. I would love to see those two in like a charity celebrity battle, like cage fight.
Oh, I know. It's like two people who it's like, I don't give a shit who loses or wins. Just There's a fight like that in my high school one time. It was so funny. It's like two kids that everybody hated, and they're just kind of like shoving each other, and nothing was really going on, but we're all crowded around like, fuck yeah, fight. And my friend just walks up and punches them both, and I was like, fuck.
I know, man. If that fight happened, I think like we should each corner one of them and like help tape their knuckles with like, you know, put like lead in their gloves and stuff. So they're both just like killing machines.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. We've had some funny producers here, man. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the comedy world definitely lends to those very interesting types.
The carnival barker types. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man.
Too many.
Yeah. I feel like the scene right now is pretty awesome, though. Like, I feel like the scene right now in Albuquerque is probably the strongest it's ever been, like comedian wise. Do you feel that too?
I do, man. We got a lot of new comics coming up that are just like really good from the bat.
Yeah.
A lot of opportunities, you know, there's like when we were saying, you know, back in 2003, and then there weren't open mics, you know, you might get like one a week other than Laughs. And now, you know, you have 5 a week, some twice a night.
Yeah, there are a couple nights where you can get on twice. a night.
Yeah. Yeah.
really
So there's so
cool.
many opportunities to like, especially for newer comics to just grow and like get the experience that, it might have taken us like 2 years to get. They can get it in, 6 months.
Yeah.
With doing that stage time and cranking out those reps.
Yeah, isn't that crazy, man? Yeah, because when I started, we had laughs once a month, and that's it. The first Sunday of the month, and then my only gigs were, I'd wait for that laughs open mic, or I would open for my friend's band while they're setting their shit up, or I did some guest sets at laughs, and that's. But it was crazy because my first 2 years I only did like 25 sets, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And now you could do, and once I started hosting at the club, though, it's like, I was doing 7 shows a week, plus if we did the casino gig in Espanola, there's an extra show too. So, like, I think it was 2006 where I did like 13 hosting weeks,
Yeah. That's
so that year I got like really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it's so different too from an open mic. Like,
yeah,
if you do an open mic with 10 people in the crowd and 8 of them are comics, it's so hard to judge like what's actually working. You might think all your stuff is terrible.
Yeah.
And then you get in front of like a real audience and you're like, oh, okay, this does work. And you still, it's hard because I tell like newer comics too, you got to start with these open mics. You're not going to get booked for other stuff unless you're producing your own shows. But you do also need that open mics to get used to the stage experience, to get used to just basic technical things and your timing and everything. But I tell them like open mics are way harder than when you start getting booked for actual shows. Like you're going to have a better set
for sure.
Show, but you still got to like grind it out with those hard as hell shows. Hard as hell open mics.
Yeah, open mic, man. It's rough. But I started hosting the Inside Out one with Holly recently. And
how's that been going?
Man, it's been so much fun. Like I wasn't sure if it would be that much fun, but it really is. It's cool to, meet all the newbies and stuff. And then, we've had some of the old school comics come back and do some sets. So that's been really cool too. It's just been fun. Just watching people get better every week and stuff. And then, we had a first timer last night, and it's so funny because Holly's kind of talking shit to him after his set. But hopefully he'll come back. It's funny because like a lot of first timers will go up and just do like shock humor,
right.
And that's kind of how I started, because I didn't know any better. I was like, I'll just write dirty ass jokes and get a response or whatever. But
take that easy laugh.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's a lot of male comics do that, when they're starting out because they don't know any better. And then like I've seen a couple people do that where they come up and they do, some pretty gross jokes, and then people are like, and then we never see them again. It's like, no, keep coming back and just work, just work at it, Like there's one guy who actually had, his joke structure was actually pretty decent, and if he had some different material, probably wouldn't be a bad comic at all. But I saw him the once and then haven't seen him since. So
I had one dude at my open mic a couple weeks ago, another super new guy, tell like a very anti-Semitic joke.
Oh, really?
And like he hit his punchline on anti-Semitic, and everyone's just like, oh man, like no one laughs. Actually, my buddy next to me and me were laughing just because of like how tone deaf he was, because then he was like, he's like, I set that up wrong. I probably could have set that up differently. I'll work on it. And like I did. I usually don't talk shit about the comics when I get on the mic if they bomb. But in that one, I was just like, he thought it was because his setup was wrong and not because his punchline was anti-Semitic, and the whole crowd was just like,
I try to be nice too, but sometimes it's so hard,
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like, we always talk shit. We always bust each other's balls as comics, So that's, especially
Right.
after doing it for 20 years, I'm so used to it.
Right.
I got to remember that these guys are new and that, they're not in the same mindset as us who've been doing it for a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's probably actually hurting their feelings. So
I remember early on, man, when I would bomb and an MC would go and talk shit, and I would
Yeah.
be like, I would just be so mad. I'd be like,
yeah,
and I mean, it's still not. It's still not my style to like totally destroy.
Yeah.
I might
Yeah.
talk shit a little. I'll throw out like a joke about them, but I'll do it in a playful way.
yeah.
But there's these other MCs that are just like, no, if they're bad. I mean, Buck D, I've been doing the radio show with Buck, and Buck's like, if you're bad, I'm gonna let them know you're bad. And Buck will love to film you bombing and then put it on his Facebook and then talk about how you just bombed. Like,
Oh yeah.
and I'm like, it's not my style, but it is pretty funny to watch sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got to remember that sometimes when, I I still like to talk shit, to the old school comics
Oh yeah,
like Joe and AJ and stuff.
yeah. No, that's always super fun.
Oh yeah. All right, man. We're about to hit an hour. I usually try to keep it about 45 minutes, but where can people find you on social media? And you got a website, right?
Yeah, I got a website, rustycomedy.com.
Okay.
I need to start updating that again. I don't update it enough, but
Oh, really?
the website does have all the links to all my social media. So I'm on Facebook, Rusty Rutherford, Instagram at Rusta Rhymes. Instagram, I'm doing more of my like photo stuff and things on there.
Hell yeah.
Facebook, I'm doing more of my comedy and all that jazz. So
Yeah.
Check them out.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. It's
And
good to kick it.
yeah, I'm looking forward to making that Monopoly game.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think it could be awesome.
I'm sure. Look on my old hard drives, see if I can find the stuff we have. But even if not,
even if not,
sure,
we
we
can
can
come up with
recreate
new
it.
shit for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of stuff's happened since then. So
yeah, yeah. We'll have jokes from 2009 if we get that.
yeah, right. It's like the hookers, the dead hookers in the West Mesa.
Yeah.
You found a dead hooker. Get $100.
Oh man! All right, I'm gonna start brainstorming. I'm gonna start.
All right,
getting
yeah,
some
me
ideas
too,
for
man.
it.
We'll have to get together soon and share our notes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, sounds good, man.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. You take care, buddy.
All right, see you Friday, Curt.
All right, see ya. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. As always, if you want to like and subscribe on YouTube, that would be fantastic. Also, if you buy merchandise from my website, funnyfletcher.com, and enter in the promo code In the Rye Podcast, and that's all capitals, no spaces, you'll get 10% off of all your purchases on there. And as always, thank you guys for listening. Thank you to John Singleton from Anesthesia for the outro music, and thank you to Jarrett Reddick from Bowling for Soup for the intro music. Talk to you next time.